myself again, but it's the only way.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the Holly and Steve show, and oh God, Holly man, Jesus, honest to God.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. It's not the best feeling waking up on the back of that result, is it?
Nah, definitely not. I mean, the whole week we've been telling everybody how important it was to get a win against Watford at home. I mean, it's a relegation rival. They're an awful team, but it was a wake up and smell the coffee moment, I think, for a lot of people. You know me, I'm always trying to be optimistic. I'm always trying to be positive about the game. My prediction was only a 1-0 win off, a goal off Chris Wood's backside. So it tells you exactly where I was before the game. You and your dad, though, you've kept me, level-headed, I guess, throughout the season. You've tried to anyway. Your dad got it spot on, didn't he? He predicted a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, my dad went 1-1, I went 0-0. There was no way I saw us winning that game. I didn't expect us to score, actually. But the way in which we drew was even harder to take, I think, because obviously having that lead, a chance to build on it, but we sat back and then conceded in the latter stages.
I've just put a video out on Twitter. I mean, because, we know Twitter and we know the pitfalls of it. We know the pluses and the minuses, and we know that people have a go, and you can waste 2 hours of your day if you put the wrong thing or what people would conceive to be the wrong thing on there. However, I put a video up there and just spoke, my general feelings, and I'll condense it. But I mean, my view really at the moment is that, this is the beginning of a new era. The club was taken over on the 7th of October. And it's so difficult for anybody to come in and take over the mess that Mike Ashley has left. He has left a big heap of dung at St James's Park. And the new owner's job is to come in and try and clear that and then rebuild. And when I say dung, I mean everything. I mean the training facilities, the ground, and the team. The team, through no fault of their own, are all a lot older and a lot less of a player, across the board than they were when they signed for the club. A lot of them got contracts, ridiculous contracts. A lot of them got contracts which were 6, 7, 8 years long. And they're still here. And it's the same players who some have suffered 2 relegations and then subsequently 2 promotions. And they're just not good enough anymore. Unfortunately, they're not good enough. They think they are in their mind, but the legs tell you different. And I mean, your face last week was a picture when I said that Matt Ritchie is past it. He's gone. His legs have gone. And he wasn't even in the squad yesterday. But that applies, sadly, to so many others in the squad. And I think we're starting to see that in some of the games. And it could have been worse. But, we weren't hammered or, trounced yesterday 2, 3, 4-0 by Watford. It wasn't a calamity in that respect. And it shows you that the optimism levels are that high now that a 1-1 draw against Watford, it's got everyone at the crest of a slump. But I think ultimately we've just got to wake up and smell the coffee as a fan base that this is a long job. We might have to go down to come back, but until it's mathematically impossible, Newcastle's still got a chance, Holly, of getting out of this. And I know you laugh and we have a bit of a joke and carry on between each other, but about it. But they've got to strengthen that team. And one signing a week's no good. We really need to hope that Newcastle this week, in my opinion, can bring in a centre half, a really good commanding captain-like centre half, and we're chasing 2. We know Botman and Carlos. We really need a creative midfielder and a defensive midfielder, because the centre of midfield is a huge, huge problem for Newcastle United. There isn't a player good enough to wear the black and white shirt in that position. And we need a centre forward who is in the mould of a Loic Remy or a Craig Bellamy. Somebody who can come into that team tomorrow into that training ground and hit the ground running and go bang and score goals. Because Chris Wood's a good signing. And I know you and I had a bit of to and fro about this yesterday. Chris Wood is a good signing. However, Chris Wood is not going to get you 10 or 15 goals in the second half of the season. He is somebody who will hold the ball up. He's somebody who will lay the ball off. He's somebody who will get us a few headers, you know, and probably a couple of goals before the end of the season. Could be some match-winning goals in there. Could go to Leeds next week against his old club and we could win 1-0 and Chris Wood could get the goal, and that's vital. However, he's not going to be the man who's going to get you 10 goals. And that's what we need. We need somebody like that. So that's me rant over, Holly. Give us something back.
I would say, yeah, spot on with the positions that we need to strengthen in, especially someone to play alongside Chris Wood. I think that has to be the priority because the goals just aren't coming. In terms of Chris Wood, I was underwhelmed with his signing personally. Of course, you can't judge him until he's had, you know, quite a few games. You need to see what he's capable of. We were tied, like our hands were tied behind our backs really, because there's not many strikers that are going to want to come to the football club. Chris Wood was one of the only few available, and ultimately we paid above the odds for him. I felt like 25 million was an absolute rip-off, but if he keeps us up, I'm not going to complain. For me, I mean, I accepted relegation a while ago now because I think there's just nothing I'm seeing in that side that gives us any hope. And I think even with the additions, which we're going to struggle to bring in, it still might not be good enough to keep us up because there's just, that side is so poor. And I think that's why we saw Ashley so desperate to sell the club at the point that he did, because he was going to have to spend probably 150 million just to keep us afloat, and he wasn't prepared to do that. There is a massive rot left behind. It's difficult for any manager that's there to manage those players because they're not good enough, quite frankly. Do we have a chance? Yeah, we do have a chance. Of course we do. And I think that's what's making it worse, actually, is we're just in and around it. We just have a chance of staying up. But that's just stringing us along. And I feel like it's worse to go down hanging on till the last game of the season than just knowing you're down for a few months. And I would rather know we were down for a few months because I honestly can't see us staying up. I think we need to win against Watford. I can't see us getting anything against Leeds, and I'm just, yeah, I've got no faith in the rest of this season. I've just written it off, and I think we need to rebuild in the summer.
I mean, genuinely, you think we're down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's mathematically, it's you know, well within our reaches of doing it. But I know, look, we've only won one game all season. You know, there's yings and yangs to this. There's two sides to the story, and you know, for me, I still think it's possible. The biggest thing is that we've, you know, thrown away Leeds, for example. I think we have the worst record for failing to win games having scored first, which I think it's at 9. Leeds are second in that table. They've got 6 games where they've done that. I think following on the Southampton, Burnley, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, whatever. But that is our biggest problem, and you know, we need to fix that, and we need to fix that quickly. And the way that you fix it is by getting the second goal. And when Newcastle scored yesterday, did you see an urgency from the team to try and get that second goal?
Not at all. I think that's what made that draw. I predicted a draw, but I think that's what did make it hard to take. It felt like a defeat, because ultimately we scored that goal. And that was a chance to build on it. Instead of just scoring the one, you think, right, we need to go for a second to make sure we win. But we were happy with the 1-0 lead. Knew it was going to be difficult to hold on to it, and, you know, took our chances and ended up conceding, which we could all see a mile off. And I was expecting it, certainly. And it is just frustrating because you think, right, we're winning. I know that we're not the best. We're not good at scoring goals, but at least have a go. And I think we just sat back and dropped our heads.
Lascelles is getting a bit of grief online. I mean, again, you know, you could pick a handful of players yesterday who didn't play, to their best levels to their games. He was under pressure. He gave the ball away a hell of a lot when it was at his feet. You know, winning it with his head further up the pitch, fine. In the box, so frustrating. Let's try and concentrate on the positives. There were some positives. Joe Linton again, I thought was outstanding. Paul Dummett, having not played for months and months and months, came back and put in a great performance, as we know he can. He flagged towards the end, which was disappointing. ASM was marked out of the game, but scored a goal that only ASM could score. And, you know, Trippier, for his Premier League debut for Newcastle, after having his FA Cup debut the week before, he looks head and shoulders above everybody else, Holly.
Yeah, Trippier impressed again. I think it just proves the difference in class between the defenders that we already have and the type of defenders that we want to bring in. I think he's going to play a massive part this season. He does a lot off the ball, commanding people, organising the defence. It's really, really good to see. Joe Linton, outstanding again, as you mentioned. Just getting in every position he can, trying, shouting for the ball. Sometimes he wasn't getting the ball and you could see the frustration within him because he just wanted to try and help us win the game. And unfortunately, it was really, really hard for him to do that. But I think the effort that he put in was phenomenal. Also, I think, which other player did you mention, sorry?
Well, I picked out Dummett and I picked out Trippier.
Yeah. Dummett, yeah, he did really, really well for probably 70 minutes. Last 20 minutes, he struggled a little bit. Didn't really understand the sub that was made, but I'm sure we'll come on to that. But yeah, Dummett was great to see. When he was played at left back, I was thinking I'd rather have him at centre back because I really rate Dummett as a centre back. But he did really, really well at left back, so fair play to him. And Lascelles, which you touched on as well, I think he was probably the standout bad performance in that game. Just really struggled, didn't step up as a captain, giving the ball away, not doing his defensive duties. Very, very poor. And for me, I don't think Lascelles should wear the black and white shirt again.
Strong words from Holly. I think a lot of people on Twitter and other social media agree. But, you know, until we get somebody incapable of doing the job and replacing them, that is, I'm afraid, what we are going to be stuck with. It was interesting as well to see Dubravka play. I mean, a lot of rumours that Dubravka wasn't going to play, Holly. Two goalkeepers on the bench, I think, told its own story. And the fact that Darlow and Gillespie were both on the bench, that gave me the jitters, I've got to be perfectly honest, because there was rumours that he wasn't going to play. But he seemed okay. You couldn't really fault him for the goal.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't have that much to do, really. I mean, he did make some good saves, but it wasn't like they were just hammering us all the time, having shot after shot after shot on target. That wasn't really the case. Yeah, he did do okay. Happy to see him in the goal because I was concerned that he maybe had an injury. That was rumoured throughout the week. But yeah, two keepers on the bench. I think it's still very evident that we're struggling with injuries at the moment.
Yeah, if we do go down, it's going to be down to the fact that we didn't pick up the teams against, especially the teams around us. And, you know, twice we've led against Watford and twice we've let them pull us back. And they are diabolical. They're a poor team. And again, if Newcastle can find a run of form, if they can bring in more players before the end of this transfer window, which can make a difference in scoring goals at the other end. Because you know, we're not leaking goals against big teams. You expect it, but we're not leaking goals. You know, it was 1-1 yesterday. Yeah, if we can get somebody to score goals, we could get away. I still think we can get away with this because I think Burnley are poor. I think Watford are poor, and I think Norwich are poor, and I think there could be another team gets dragged into it. At the moment, we don't know what's going to happen with Everton. And again, that's a game in 2 weeks' time. If Rafa keeps his job over the next couple of weeks, then you know, that will be interesting. If Rafa gets replaced, then, you know, we could find ourselves up against a team with a new manager in with a new lease of life. So, yeah, lots of twists and turns to come. You've heard what Holly and I have got to say. Over to you in the chat now, and we'll try and get through as many of your comments as possible. John Askew says, morning, everyone. Yesterday was one of those light bulb moments for me. Up till then, I was confident of survival. I now feel the combination of Eddie and the players simply isn't good enough. Holly's nodding ahead. Lascelles is absolutely shocking as usual. Longstaff was dreadful. Change these two and add another striker. Yep, Sean Longstaff didn't cover himself in glory, Tom, it has to be said. John also says, our only hope now appears to be new arrivals in what's left of the transfer window. Should Eddie be getting more out of the squad? Is he too nice? And I was in level 7 of the leases yesterday. He says, second half, we seem to be playing Longstaff as our main forward with Wood deeper. Was I seeing things? And if not, what's going on? And precisely what tactics were for the remainder of the game after we'd scored. Oh dear. Yeah, John's not happy, as a lot of people aren't. Longstaff again didn't cover himself in glory, did he? I mean, he looked great against Man United. It looked like the Longstaff of old, but since then, Cambridge and subsequently yesterday just reverted to type, and something clearly not right with Longstaff in that midfield either. And he doesn't play well with Shelby. You were listening to Supermac yesterday after the match at the Dog and Parrot, and Supermax said that those two don't like playing with each other. It's quite obvious, and they play against each other when they're playing, Shelby and Longstaff.
The difference is, though, for me, Shelby steps up, puts a shift in, but whereas Sean Longstaff just doesn't do that, he's struggling massively. His passing was awful yesterday. The amount of times he gave the ball to the opposition was unbelievable. And unfortunately, I think we've seen probably 2 to 3 good games from him this season. But if he continues like this, I think we need to get rid of him as soon as possible. If Everton want him, and that is the rumours that are going around, then I'd be more than happy to get rid of Sean Longstaff, because for me, I think he's never been the same player that he was from a few years ago, and he's just not good enough for the Premier League.
Toonami says this would have hurt even more if it was still the Ashley era, but I'm positive we'll come back up. This is just 14 years of dross. We must start fresh. Blackpool away next season. Anybody? It's not over yet, Toon. Tom Dixon says it was a much-needed win yesterday, but again, we can't hold on to a lead. It wasn't a win, Tom. I've got to say, it was a draw. So I'm not sure what game you were watching. It was a much-needed win yesterday, but again, we can't hold on to a lead. Yeah,
I think he's just saying that, yeah, you needed a win, but we didn't get one.
Okay, I think yesterday's result might just be going down, especially with Norwich winning. Yeah, Norwich winning doesn't really make much of a difference. It just tightens it up at the bottom. It's a hell of a race. Mr. Midnight says, literally everything I've been saying in this chat the last week manifesting itself once again. Eternally grateful to those owners saving us from Ashley, but no new centre-back by this point was inexcusable. Just difficult to do business in January. That's the problem. We are clearly going in for centre-halves who can make a difference in Sven, Botman and Carlos. That could be the thing that needs to change this week, you know. But we could bring a striker in, a centre of him, but we need a striker. We need somebody who can score goals. We haven't got somebody in. And again, a lot of people making things about the substitution yesterday, because let's face it, like Wood, you know, was never gonna be the match winner yesterday. Bringing Almiron on for ASM had a lot of people scratching their heads, didn't it? Because ASM is the one person who can put the ball in the back of the net in that team.
Yeah, that's what confused me about that game. I think ASM played pretty poorly up until that goal, and it was a fantastic goal. I'm not going to take that away from him. But after he'd scored that goal, you know, he was the only person that looked like he had an inkling of doing it again. So to take him off and replace him with Almiron, who, let's face it, doesn't have the best goal scoring record, didn't really make much sense. And for me, I think that kind of potentially could indicate why the players have this type of mentality to sit back when we're 1-0 up, because the manager makes those type of substitutions after 1-0 up, 2-0 up, fair enough, but I think that's kind of a shared mentality between the players and Eddie Howe, which I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of people judged ASM yesterday, and I go on at ASM about being lazy. He put a shift in yesterday. He tried, but he just got man-marked out the game. They actually had 2, if not 3 men on him most of that game. And at the start of the second half, Watford switched off, ASM got free, and bang, ball was in the back of the net. I don't think he had a particularly bad game. It was a better game by his standards. Again, second half, he tired. Maybe that was part of the reason he came off. But, you know, Almiron coming on. I was a big defender of Almiron in the day, but he's just like a headless chicken. He really is, and no end product from him, which is disappointing. Mr. Midnight says would have taken relegation if it had meant getting shot of Ashley, so anything more was always a bonus. The fact we're still in touching distance by the window and we're throwing it away is painful. Yeah, it's still in our hands, Mr. Midnight. John Askew says if clubs are reluctant to sell, it can be difficult getting good players in, especially in January, but we could do with 2 or 3 at least, and I think we'll get them. I think the fact that we are offering daft money, Holly's already mentioned paying over the odds for Wood. It shows you. I said, you know, Holly said to me sometimes this appears desperate. There's a bit of desperation in this window. Well, maybe there is. It's a big thing to go down, especially when you paid such a great deal of money for the club. But at the same time, you know, if we're going to bring players in, we're going to have to pay over the odds to get them in. I think we already knew that. Mr. Midnight says there's no excuse for not bringing in depth signings though, and they'd still be better than Lascelles. But also would be of use later, would have given them leeway to work on bigger deals. Craig agrees that we need 2 centre midfielders and 2 centre defenders ASAP. Toonami says, I will still be there every home and away game, Tuesdays and weekends. Love my football club. Okay, Derek's got a question. He says, question for you both. Do you think the owner should scale back and look to the Championship now and buy players ready for promotion, as buying overpriced players now could cause financial fair play problems in the future? Good question. Holly?
There's no doubt that we're probably paying massive wages to some of the new players that are coming in, which in the Championship, well, we're not going to have as much money, so it is going to be harder to manage. Of course, the owners are very wealthy, so they should be able to cope with that. Would I buy players for the Championship now in January? No, because that would be silly considering we don't know whether we're going to definitely go down or not. But what I said was I'd be more inclined to wait till, because for me, I feel like we're going to bring players in and we're down. I've already said that. I'll be more inclined to wait till the summer to do big signings, because then we know where we're lying. I think it gives us more time to do deals. We're not going to be desperate bringing in kind of last minute recruitments, and that's how I feel, and paying ridiculous prices. We still are going to have to pay more than other teams perhaps, because we will still not be in the best position, but not to the extent that we have done for other signings like Wood. It could cause financial fair problems. That is a bit of a worry. But in terms of the January window, I wouldn't buy players for the Championship.
I mean, I know you're not a fan of Wood already. Trippier, both of them, in their 30s. Is that not already with one eye on the Championship, do you think, bringing these players in?
If Trippier was going to be playing in the Championship, I don't think he probably would have signed. I think he still thinks that there's a chance we could stay up, and I think there's a possibility there that he could leave if we do go down, because I think he's far too good for the Championship. I think both of those players would be fantastic in the Championship, by the way, especially Wood. I think he'd really get the goals. So in some aspects, yes, but I can't see us holding on to Trippier if another club came in for him. Wood, I think we'd managed to hold on to, but the price we paid for a Championship striker, again, it just annoys me. And we've got Dwight Gale there, who I think is still capable of doing the job.
Well, it depends whether anyone's interested in playing them. I think they've got one eye on the Championship anyway, Derek. I've got to be honest. They would be stupid not to. It's very difficult at this moment in time, being in the position we are, not to be thinking about potentially going into the Championship. And, if the owners are signing players and offering them daft contracts, with the thought of, well, we're only going to be in the Premier League, we're not going down, I think it would be very naive. So I think at the moment, I think we will see at least another 2 permanents. I think we will sign a centre-half. I think we will sign probably a centre-forward. And I think we'll do the loan deals in the midfield. I think that's what we'll do. That's my feelings. That's not through any tip-offs or any source or anything. That's what my feelings are. Keith Moore says, we just got to keep faith and hope we start getting points. Fans must have been gutted yesterday. I went from 10 to -5 yesterday. I didn't. I went with by the time I'd spent a couple of hours with Holly and her dad, and I got to the match and started to reflect, I've got to be honest, I actually felt Newcastle would probably get a draw. And the guys who sit next to us, including me dad and me brother at the match, they were more or less saying I was being a bit of a negative Nelly, because I said, it's going to be a draw, this. And I was literally watching through my hands as that goal went in for Watford. So, yeah, a touch of realism hit me, and I came out the ground just shrugging my shoulders. But then I think when you go to each game, and we've been to the pre-season, Holly, we've been to the majority of the away games together this season. I think there is a realization, and I've been through relegation as you have been through. I've been through a couple more than you probably in my lifetime. But there's that realization, isn't there, Holly, that you just think, well, just got to get on with it. The positive is the football club will still be here next year, and we'll still be going to match, and hopefully it'll be a better season because we'll see more wins if we do drop. I think it's that kind of mentality. You get a second skin to relegation, don't you? I guess.
Yeah, you do. We've been there before, and listen, I think it probably hurt times before. We did have kind of the comfort blanket of having a good manager there last time, but it was always a worry under Mike Ashley, because you didn't know if he was going to put the money in to get us back up, and then you worried that if we did get back up, if he would put the money in to keep us stabilised in the Premier League, or if we go down again. But whereas under the new owners, I think that we will get promoted on the first attempt, and then they will massively sort things out, and we'll climb the Premier League table. So I have a lot more confidence this time. I'm not worried about relegation, to be honest. And I think maybe that's what we need to rebuild, because there's so much work that needs to be done. It's unbelievable.
Food on a plate. Yeah, we'll be doing Rate My Plate shortly. Frey bento steak pudding sandwich.
I don't think I've ever had Frey bento steak pudding.
They're the ones you stick in the oven in the tin, aren't they? Bear in mind,
I'll
I'm not somebody who cooks. Can you put a tin in the oven? I think
Well, no, you can't put a tin in the oven, it'll explode.
Right, okay. So what do? Take it out and put it on the baking tray?
Well, I'm assuming so. I've never cooked one.
Right,
I think
okay.
we're both as bad as each other, I'm not going to lie.
I think that would be all right, actually, Derek. Would you have butter on it?
Yeah.
But gravy and tomato sauce, your dad would add. Oliver Boothroyd says, "Hi, Steve. Hi, Holly. Wood was a panic buy. Period." He agrees with you. If Wilson was not injured, we would not have signed him. He's bang average and slow. Gale has a scoring record no worse than him. What do you think?
I agree 100%. That's all that needs to be said from my perspective.
I don't think he was a panic buy. I think he was a buy with playing with Wilson in mind once Wilson comes back. But I also think, if we have to bring another centre forward in, which we do, then he'll play. It needs to be like a Toshak Keegan, as Malcolm MacDonald would call it. You need a big man and a little man. Time will tell. The England cricket team is about the same quality as our favourite football team, says John Askew. Yeah, 4-0 hammering in the Ashes, and it would have been 5 if it hadn't been for the weather. Sean says, "Morning, Holly and Steve. If we don't sign a centre-back by Tuesday, we're down. Can't afford to miss the next game. Thoughts on Rafa and possibly him being the next director of football?" I can't see it happening. Holly was sitting in the bar last night after the match, looking teary-eyed at Rafa on the telly, hoping that Rafa would come back. You'd like to see him as manager, not director of football, Holly, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I want him back at the club so bad. I mean, I've done everyone's head in pretty much ever since Rafa left, to be honest, because I never shut up about him. I absolutely loved the guy, still do love the guy, never got over it. I cried my eyes out the day he left the club, by the way. Not ashamed to admit that at all. I think, and listen, I'm not Howe out, right? I'm not Howe out. I just want to clear that up. I'm still very much behind Eddie Howe. But do I think we'd be more likely to stay up under Rafa? Yeah, I do think we'd be more likely to stay up under Rafa. Do I think that he'd be more likely to win us the championship? Yeah, I do think that. And also, as a director of football, yeah, I'd be happy with that as well, because I think he's respected worldwide. He's got fantastic contacts. He understands the club. And if things did go wrong with Howe, what you could do is director of football just say, well, can you just swoop into a different role? Happy days.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Rafa. I feel really sorry for him. And what do you think of a new border, Holly? We've actually, thanks to John from Jab, who's just sent this over, we've now got a border with all the sponsors on.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. I prefer the screens being smaller as well. It's a bit of a shock when it's so zoomed in on your face.
Yeah, it does. So there we go. I think that'll be new. What do people in the chat think? Did they like that? Thanks to John from Jab. See, he works hard, this guy. And he's busy working with 3D Fight Club. You need to get into that. I'll be doing something at 6 o'clock tonight about 3D Fight Club. I'm going to have a few of the guys on. It could get a bit heated. Some of the guys who are actually going to be fighting each other on this show. I've got Liam Ditchburn on. Who's a great guy. I've got Living in London on, who you might have seen. Fighting Trolls is coming on. Danny Christie. Got a few of the faces coming on who are going to be fighting on that card, so well worth popping in. Okay, Oliver says, how many more games before we question house tactics and game management and substitutions? Looks like Rafa is a free agent today. What do you think, Holly? Yeah, we've just covered that. But yeah, look, I think, with Rafa, would he come as director of football? If he's got no ambition left as a manager, he may well do. I think it wouldn't be a bad move. It's just whether he could work with Howe. Tom Lynch, good morning. He says, morning, everyone. Yesterday it was bleak. We don't need a few new players. We need an entirely new squad, which is something I've heard a lot from a lot of people and a lot of diehard mags. Paul Oxley says, felt like a defeat yesterday. If Watford beat Burnley and beat Norwich at home, we lose to Leeds. Do you see us coming back from 8 points behind? I don't. Curtains if that happens. But Holly already says we're down, Paul. I mean, look, it would be a nightmare. We've just got to forget about other teams and concentrate on our own position. If Burnley sign Andy Carroll, I think they'll struggle to stay up as their lead striker. I think that would be suicide by them. But genuinely speaking, let's just take it week by week and see where we end up. Morning, Andrew. Hope you're well. I'm sober, mate. I didn't have a drink yesterday again. I'm not doing dry January. I've just ended up doing dry January. Love listening to Holly, the youngest on here, but talks the most sense. She knows how bad we are, says Tony Bull.
Yeah, that's a point that I always make though, because a lot of like the older fans, like I remember like growing up, like my like grandparents and stuff would say to me, "Oh, you're in for a lifetime of heartbreak supporting Newcastle," and then you tend to find them now saying, "Oh, it's going to be fine, we're going to stay up, etc., etc." And I'm sitting here like, where's the positivity coming from?
Yeah, Phil Davison says Lascelles is an absolute liability. We need to get rid of him. And Steve, you should do a crime program on Newcastle. How other teams are stealing points off us, says Keith. That's a great idea. Okay, big shout out to our sponsors. Thank you to Spider VPN. As always, they are the boys to trust for your internet security. Protect everything on your computers, including phone numbers, photographs, you name it. They are the boys to trust. Spider VPN. Thanks also to skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors 0191 389 7245 and to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks also to Arcot Interiors. You can find them on Heaton Road in Newcastle, and they are top lads for kitchen interiors. Get yourselves onto their website if you want a new kitchen. And thanks also to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the runners of our website, NUFCmatters.com, which you can see below me on my picture. Thanks also to jabsignature.co.uk for all of our flyers, and to Media Arts for all the videos. And Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner is where you tap to subscribe to the channel. And if you subscribe, you get 7 shows a week free and a whole lot of other stuff as well. We do not charge for this channel. We do not hide our content behind memberships and ask you to pay an added fee. If you want to donate, you can, but we don't beg and we don't ask. We do, though, have a cult which you can join, which gives you a little bit of a reward. If you get your phone out, you can scan over that QR code and you can become a member of NUFC Matters. It's £25 one-off fee payment. And what do you get for your money? Well, you get a cup, you get a pen, you get a scarf, you get a nice bag, and you get entered into the monthly draw. And on Friday, we gave away 2 Platinum Club tickets to, I think it was number 23. And they are going to the Brighton game. So well done to that person. But that's how you do it. It's as simple as that. Join the membership cult and you can be added in to that monthly draw. We do talk-ins at the Dog and Parrot each match day. Me and Malcolm will be back there against Everton on the evening at 6 o'clock. And we also raise money for the food bank by the Matchday Bucket. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is where you can donate 365 days of the year. We've also got a t-shirt on my Twitter at Steve Wraith. So if you go to the top, it's pinned at the top, and you can bid for the Terry Neyshaw t-shirt and print. I think it was at £100 the bid on the last look. I think it was Dunhill who was leading the way, one of our regular viewers. The t-shirt, the Nick DeMarco t-shirt, Holly, on Friday raised £1,000.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. I saw that with a donation from Nick himself. That's absolutely brilliant for the food bank.
Yeah, big shout out to Keith Patterson, to Nick DeMarco, and to George in Houston, and to John, of course, for making the t-shirts. But great stuff. Back to your comments. And Chris Wood in the second half kept dropping deep to get involved in the game as he was isolated up top. So similar to what Harry Kane has been doing all season due to lack of service. I mentioned that to Holly after the game. He didn't look particularly good yesterday because he was made to look bad by the rest of the team. There wasn't enough service to him, and he did have to drop back in to try and win the ball. And that's something I said to Holly. So there'll be better days to come from Wood. Let's hope it's a winner at Leeds next week against his old club. East Midlands Mags on tour. I wasn't impressed with ASM yesterday. He's our game changer, but also sometimes the problem. I felt he scored, but was really poor performance. I was baffled by the standing ovation in the areas for ASM. I just guess East Midlands, and we touched on this at the start of the programme, I think a lot of people saw what I saw in the fact that he got marked out of the game. It's so difficult when 2 or 3 players are marking you continuously, and that was Watford's game plan. Watford came to stifle ASM. He's our only creative outlet, and they did a great job, but they switched off at the start of the second half, and he got the goal. And I'm one of his biggest critics, and I genuinely thought, he did do more yesterday than he has in previous games. Paul says, we are like Fulham last season and Watford are like us last season. Total role reversal this season. Don't think we'll get out of the bottom three. That was the chance last season. Okay, defensive midfielder needed, massively needed, and centre-backs obviously too. Rachel, one of our moderators, good morning. She says, Lascelles is just not good enough. Need Botman and Carlos in this week. Money should be thrown at their clubs. I'd be over the moon if we got both of them, but I think we could only get one. Why sign Woods then nobody passed to him, says John. Surely the player should be looking to find him on every opportunity and help him have a good start. Yeah, I agree. Imagine Bruce has won 1 in 10. Why is Eddie Howe getting away with murder? If the squad isn't good enough, then you need to apologise to Bruce because you got 12th. Ibrahim Ahmed makes that point. What's your views on that, Holly?
There was a lot of frustration towards Eddie Howe, more than I've seen in previous games yesterday. A few people starting to think maybe we need to get rid of Howe. A few people saying he's just as bad as Bruce. Not the case for me. I don't think that he's as bad as Bruce, and I don't think we need to get rid of him yet. I think he's very lucky because the fans are singing his praises all the time. They're totally behind him. And I think that is partly because it's the first recruitment of the new owners and people want to get behind the new regime. So people do lay off him a little bit. I think over time, if the results continue the way they are and with the new signings, then maybe people will start to have a change in attitude. I think there's only so much you can do with this team. However, some decisions have been questionable. I think the formations haven't been the best, and the substitutions also haven't been the best. I don't think the coaches are getting the best out of the team. I still question Graham Jones and what he's doing with the squad, but I think it's harsh to judge anybody in the current climate, and I think until we see how he performs over a period of games with new signings, we can't really judge him too much.
It was like watching a Steve Bruce team 1-0 up, then fall to bits. Having said that, we will stay up, says Michael. When did it become acceptable for 90% of the midfielders' passes to go backwards, says John. Yeah, I've noticed that yesterday. I did notice that. And that's something that's happened over the last week or two, that we pass back to the keeper. We'll bring Dubravka into the game a lot more, and he passes the ball, and he's got the best view of the pitch where he is. I don't know, lack of confidence in your centre-half, maybe. Who knows? It could be lack of wanting to pass to the cells. Good chat, but still believe we can get there because the players are gradually arriving, says Alan. That's my point, Alan. I know we've only won one game this season, but I still have that little bit of hope. I know where you're coming from, mate. We missed Richie crossing balls in. For all he can't defend, he's the top crosser at the club, says Paul. Did we miss Richie, Holly?
Listen, when Paul Dummett went off, I would have liked to see Richie come on the pitch.
I'm not sure why he wasn't on the bench. I'm not sure at all. Be interesting. Phil Davison says Lascelles, if he had any pride in himself, would pass his armband to Trippier and hand a transfer request in. Not going to happen, I'm afraid. The fans are on board. The owners are on board. The management team is on board. But some of our players are not on board due to their ability. We need a midfield and centre-back now. Agreed. I think everybody's agreed on that. Reality is all teams down there with us are shocking and it's saving our ass, says Dan. Got to agree. Get the armband off Lascelles. Give it a Trippier, says Tom. How much do you think the players' mental health is costing us? Shouldn't turn off taking a lead. Roger, if you do a little bit of sports psychology, which I did, I never completed the course, but I remember when I was doing the Sunday League stuff, I actually applied to do an Open University degree on sports psychology. I got all the books. I got halfway through it, but I think I learned enough out of it. And it's a thing called choking, Roger. And players do it when they haven't won something. And we went through a period on my Sunday team where we just couldn't win. We could win a semi, but we couldn't win a final. And there's a lot of that in it. So I would agree. That's where sports psychologists earn the money. John says, we need to complain about sideways passes every time the ball goes on to Shelby or Sean. The ball goes back to defenders. Again, we can't disagree. Can't disagree with that. We do need a striker with pace, 100%. We need a Bellamy, we need a Loic Remy, and we need him now. ASM's words to Sky were honest and fair play. Yeah, ASM did come out afterwards. He was the one thrust in front of the cameras. I mean, he scored the goal. And ultimately, he just said we do need more support. We need more players in. And that's up to the team now of Steve Nixon, Amanda Staveley, and Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall, because they got rid of Hammond.
Yeah, I think that fair play to ASM, he's not wrong. We can clearly see that we need strengthening in certain positions, especially up top. And just to touch on ASM, for me, I totally agree with the fact that he was isolated out of that game, had multiple defenders on him. But I think the thing that annoyed me was just his attitude. I think whenever a decision didn't go his way, he spent far too much time sitting on the floor, complaining and whining on. And I just wish he'd crack on with the game, because the referee never comes over and really gets a decision to go in his favour anyway. So just move on.
Yeah, okay. Wood reminded Paul of Carroll yesterday. We didn't play to his strengths. Sean, he won 2 headers. I'll tell you now, we won 2 headers. I watched him. But we didn't play to his strengths, Sean. We didn't play to his strengths. We need to change the must-win mentality. Only new players will change this. Lipstick on a pig. Never heard that expression before. But it's a good one. I think that's a good shout, Steve. Played 2 up front, get a pacier striker in with Wood, a bit like Shearer, Bellamy, one with pace and one who is a physical threat. Yeah, it's a jigsaw, Tom. It's a jigsaw. We need to put it together. We still need another 4 or 5 players. Otherwise, there's going to be no change in results. I agree. Throwing those 2 players in is not going to make us Barcelona. We need more players in. Gary Milligan says, the fact of the matter is that we are just not good enough. Most of the team yesterday were playing in the championship. That's our level. End of. Pointless bringing in any more. We are down. Might as well keep the money for the rebuild, says John. And Alan says, looking in the Premier League for a proven striker won't cause there's none available. Need to take a chance on a prolific striker from Europe. And we are looking. We are looking. Paul, another one who says Holly is talking sense. John says Fraser was free most of the game, but instead of defenders passing to him in space, they went through Longstaff with slow passes, slowing the defenders. Time to get over every time. Yeah, Fraser was good yesterday. I've got to be honest, I haven't picked him out yesterday. I forgot about him, which I shouldn't have done. And yeah, even when I was talking to Holly, Fraser did have another good game. He runs through a brick wall for you, and he's certainly playing for the manager, and he's certainly playing for the team, which is good. Did you enjoy Fraser's performance, Holly?
Yeah, I think he's been good for a while now. Another one that stepped up under the new manager, puts in 100% effort. And I think that he is someone, again, that just gets stuck in regardless of how the game's going. His effort doesn't change. He consistently just puts in the work rate to try and get the best performance out of the game.
New Twitter account has just been notified to me. It's called Can We Stay Up? And then the bio is NUFC is my life. Can the most hated club in the Premier League stay up and beat the drop, an agenda against us? Good luck with that. I'm sure there'll be quite a bit of grief coming that kid's way in over the next few weeks. But good luck to you with your channel. Okay, we haven't got any funky music yet, but we are working on it. Media Arts should have it next week. But we are going to do our section, Rate My Plate, where we're going to have 1 meal a day, 1 meal a show, submitted. So there'll be funky music incoming this week, I think. But for now, let's just go with the graphic. And this is from Chris Hall, who does Monday Night Show, Holly. And I believe he's been badgering you to get this featured on our new segment. So Chris Hall sent this to your dad. Oh, yes, Dave. Don't know if Holly showed you this or not from the other week, but it was delightful, mate. Holly, what on earth is that?
Yeah, I got sent it a few times. He sent it on WhatsApp as well. He said it's chips, battered sausage, tomato sauce, curry, and I believe there was something else on there which I'm missing. Wow. But I can't remember what it was.
Is that the battered sausage at the back?
Yeah.
It looks like yellow.
Well, I think that's the curry sauce.
So it's covered in curry sauce?
Yeah.
It's chips, it's tomato sauce.
Oh, and gravy.
Gravy and curry. Oh, my God. What is he thinking of? That's just bizarre. Where does that stand on the Hollyometer?
Yeah, bottom of the pile. Minus 10 out of 10.
Is that going to feature at the end of season snackathon?
It's got a good chance. I've noticed we're going very much down a chip shop route, so I'm trying to get a bit of diversity in there, but it has got a good chance. It's just the sauces. So
what? Right, okay. So because obviously we've like really just we've been doing this off the hoof really. So have you got last week's?
Yeah.
Right. Can you keep this one? Is it possible? And then what we'll do at the end of the season is we'll have a vote on which ones are going to be in the say top 3, and then we'll do a top 3. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah.
Okay, so if you can keep that. Write down what that is or whatever. Keep it in your little Holly's special Rate My Plate notebook. That's a possible finalist, and we'll do it till the end of the season. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So well done, Chris. Thanks for your submission. And of course, me and Holly are going to have to try these at the end of the season. We'll probably do it at the Dog and Parrot. We'll get them in. But Holly's now laying the rule out that not as many fish and chip like shop things, please. Let's vary it. Okay, so well done, Chris. Back to football. Geordie Toomba Life says, actually, I agree, Steve. I just can't get any reason why most people can't see that a good midfield takes pressure off the back line but helps the forward line. Look at the goals and appearances. It tells everything. Tom agrees with Holly. He says, I thought we were down for about 3 months. Too much to turn around in a January window. Straffy says, I still have faith, but signings are so important this week. Ryan Fraser can't cross a ball, says Paul. He's put a few balls in. Holly, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's harsh on Fraser. I think he can cross the ball at times. I think his corners and set pieces aren't that bad when he takes them. I think it's just hard for him because you've got to remember as well the height difference between him and a lot of the players he's playing against. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, he's putting the work rate in, he's putting the effort in, and I think there's more to his game than there is to maybe Almiron's. So I would rather have him in the team at the moment. I've got to be honest. Games are won and lost in midfield. We need 2 very good central midfielders who can drag us up the table through the rest of the season. Seko Fofana and Boubacar Kamara need to be signed. Maybe he's De Bruyne. Yeah, he's the kind of player we need. Chance 32 points could keep us up. Definitely, 100%, John. Look at the positives. We need to rebuild from scratch and reset. Trying to patch a championship squad. My concern is will PIF be patient? Of course they will. They've spent a fortune on the club and they're never going to get the money back. Francis Clemenson says whole spine of the team needs upgraded. Shelby and Longstaff just all over the place. Geordie are not simply not good enough. Missing a Kabai or a DM massively in there and another striker. Defensive midfielder, sorry. Stephen Hunt says, too much rot in the squad. Won 1 game all season. Terribly bad attitude. Not enough character in the squad. Never mind quality unless the owners decide to buy us out of it. I can't see it. Sir Monkey Suit says, I'm tired of players with a lack of ability. Can you wake me up when the new season starts, please? Gary says that Kevin Keegan had the right idea. Attack is the best form of defence. Instead, there's hanging back and defending a 1-goal lead. Yeah, I mean, Malcolm said that again yesterday in the Dog and Parrot, didn't he, Holly? That, I said, what do you want to see from the Leeds game? And he went, I want them to attack.
Yeah, that's what we do want to see because I understand the importance of defending to an extent, especially in a relegation battle. I don't think we have it in us to actually just keep scoring if we concede. We certainly don't have the talent to do that. But when you've got a 1-0 lead, sitting back is very worrying. You may as well go for a second because we're not good enough to hold on to that lead. It's so risky because literally all it takes is a last-minute equaliser and, it's heartbreak all over again.
290 watching. Please hit the thumb up underneath the video. Hit the thumb up to like it. Let's get to 100 at least today. It would be nice. We've got a Leeds fan in. Tim, it'd be interesting to hear what you think about your team's chances. He thinks Newcastle will stay up, which is interesting. What have you seen in Newcastle's team to suggest that as somebody who supports another team? For me personally, I've got to agree with you. It's not over yet. Other than Trippier, none of them are good enough for our club, says Andrew. Absolute clear out must be done, and that's going to take a long time and lots of money from the Championship. Kirk just says, will people F off with the negativity? Never ever be negative. Always aim for the sky. Be Keegan.
I think it's the wrong show to watch because you're not going to find anyone more negative than me, I'm afraid. I mean, it's even working on you to an extent now because, like you say, you spend a couple of hours with us and then you think we're going to draw the game instead of win.
Is there anyone on here who would not have given Anderson a chance by now? He might not be the answer, but I would at least like to know if that's true. Would you have played Anderson? My dad mentioned it yesterday, actually.
I've mentioned him on and off all season. I think in the pre-season he impressed. I've seen him at under 23 level. I think he's played well. And yeah, I would certainly give him a chance because I understand why he doesn't want to take the risk bringing in youngsters. But at the end of the day, he's not going to be any worse than Lascelles.
The result yesterday has probably affected our chances of bringing in better players to the outside world. We now look down and out, says Equal Temper. Do you think one game changes things, Holly?
Well, I think Watford was a must-win. I think not necessarily one game changes it, but there's been many games this season where we've said it's a 6-pointer. That game was the biggest game of the season in my eyes. And the fact that we couldn't beat Watford, who were poor, I think does tell its own story.
Anthony Amers is now telling us that you put lipstick on a pig. It is still a pig, but new players are required to change our fortunes. Thank you, Anthony. That clears that up. Brandon Anderson, a Sunderland fan. Bad result for you yesterday, mate. You look as if you're going to be in the playoffs again. And we know how that works out, usually. So have you got a chance of staying up? in the top two, I wonder. Games in hand. You've got a different kind of problem that we've got. Hit the like button, says Rachel. Thank you. Back Eddie Howe. It's the players plain and simple. If you sacked Howe, who would you get better? Absolute madness. Well, I know who Holly reckons would get.
Yeah, no comment.
RB, and it's not right back. He'd be right back at the club if Holly had her way. I'd like to see Gale play alongside Wood with Richie and Fraser as old-fashioned wingers. Peter, that is music to my ears. Try telling Eddie Howe that, or Steve Bruce that. Somebody somewhere has done something with Dwight Gale. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he can't play. I don't know why we're giving him a new contract. But it's absolutely ridiculous. Watford, says Tim, is a bogey team for any club. Yeah, they're an awful team to play for Newcastle. We don't often get those kind of things. Thomas says Holly knows her stuff. She's a right bonny girl too, so keep up the good work. You're getting lots of compliments this morning, Holly. Loan to buy is so important now. If we get this right, we have puncher's chance. Genie, Beak, and Henderson, the goalkeeper, says Sean. Yeah, Henderson's been mentioned a few times by people. And I've said we do need another goalkeeper at some point. What's your views on that, Holly?
Yeah, Henderson, I think, is very, very talented. Of course, he's playing at Manchester United currently, probably behind De Gea. But I'd love to get him. I don't think he would come to Newcastle right now. In the summer, feels the time to strengthen in the goalkeeping position for me. Not right now, because I think, like you said earlier, we need to get a central defender in, a couple of midfielders, and someone to play alongside Wood is a priority. I think Dubravka, although he isn't as good as he has been in recent games, I think he's still good enough to do a job.
Life Goals says Rafa Benitez seems a broken man, Holly. Do we really want a has-been like him? We need to give Eddie more than 10 games. Right.
All I'm going to say is, and I don't want people to take this wrong way, but Steve Bruce I saw a comparison. Steve Bruce's 10 games to Eddie Howe's 10 games. The record's pretty much equal, if I'm being honest, right? And do I think Eddie Howe's better? Yeah, I do. He'll probably do better with new players in. But for me, Rafa, yeah, he does seem like a broken man at Everton. I'm not going to lie. It was horrible seeing him on the telly. He had a fan run on the pitch trying to literally attack him. I think he's had absolute hell from day one. People turned up to his house. It's not going to be easy. He'd come back to Newcastle, and I think that would totally change, because I think he would be welcomed by a vast majority of the fan base. I think he'd do very well. And ultimately, people saying he's past it, absolute rubbish. He only left Newcastle in 2019. They're acting like it's been 10 years. It's only just beginning of 2022. And I think he's got a far, far better chance than Eddie Howe keeping us up.
Yeah, okay. Life Goes. There is your answer. Junior Turner says, Holly just wants to see Rafa put his glasses away at full time.
No, he's not wrong. He's absolutely not wrong. There's never a sight more missed at St James's Park than full-time 3 points, glasses in the top pocket. Absolute magic.
Mark, big shout out to you. I'm sure I seen you at the Dog and Parrot yesterday. I just never had a chance to speak to you. He says we won't come straight back up with this manager, I'm afraid. Talk's a good game, but there's been no improvement, has there? Which is what Holly said. It does feel very much the same old. However, let's judge Eddie Howe, when he's been there, a little bit longer, and let's see what players that we can get in. Would you take Harry Winks from Tottenham? Now, this is somebody that Steve Hasty keeps mentioning.
How old is Harry Winks now? Is he around 30?
Oh, I don't know. I have to Google it. Give us your views on Harry Winks while I look for that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that Harry Winks is a good player. I think that, depending on his age, I believe he's older.
25.
Is he? He's only 25?
Yep.
Wow, I thought he was a lot older than 25. I think his name's been around for a while. Well, at 25, yeah, 100%, I would take him. I was going to say if he's older, I think he'll make a difference this season, maybe not in the long term, but at 25, I think certainly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Steve Hasty seems to have a little bit of a smile on his face whenever he talks about him, so maybe that's something he's heard. Can we attract another 5 players in this window? Feels like a minimum. 2 centre-backs, another striker, centre midfielder with legs, and a number 10. Yes, I think we can. I think we'll do the loan market as well. Rafa's tripe. It's a no from me. He's been exposed at Everton, says Andrew. Sorry, Holly, we can't live in the past, says John. I've never left a match being so gutted as I was yesterday. What an opportunity. 14 years of rot won't turn around in 10 games. Howe's highly rated for a reason, but he's no magician. We need to back him, relegation or not. Muzza says, with Woods in the box, why are they not getting the ball in the box? The amount of times the opportunity to cross the ball was on and they decided not to was a joke. A lot of that, and this is ASM's biggest problem, he doesn't release the ball early enough and he's not very good at crossing the ball in, I don't think. But yeah, it comes down to the whole team as a whole, I agree. Going down, can't blame anyone in particular, just need to embrace it. Alex Ferguson couldn't keep us up, man, says Gosforth Locksmith Service. Good bit of advertising there, GLS. Rafa would be getting these 1-0 wins, would be getting us these 1-0 wins and losing 2 points. Yeah, and I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? It's the fact we'll get ourselves into leading positions and can't hold on. As Liam Neeson says, don't be such a pessimist, says JJ. Man U, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester, West Ham. These are the teams that beat us. Why are people surprised? Rafa was an emoji when he was here before. The football was awful. He's worse than Bruce. Here we go again with the Bruce and Rafa comparisons. Rafa saw the goal difference as important as points. That was the difference. Good point, Junior. Although it's been same old, the actual football has been so much better to watch. Just need to turn it into results. Winks is 25. You are right. Other than fitness levels, I've seen zero How effect. Wow. A lot of animosity towards How. Rafa's 2 full Premier League seasons were also exactly the same as Bruce's. I think we all agree if we'd not messed up the Emery deal, we'd at least be able to attract better players. Also, Gerrard was available. I think the hot weather training over in Saudi might take the team and the manager gel better and come back stronger. Yeah, what's your views on them going away on a holiday to try and get a little bit of sun and a bit of relaxation and a bit of bonding?
I think it's a really, really good thing. Maybe not the best time with all the COVID problems, but if that's not an issue, then I think it is a good idea because apart from the players that are on international duty, it just gives those players a chance to bond better, like was mentioned, and of course keep the fitness levels up over the kind of the international break, because there's no doubt that we need to come back after that international break and pick up the points.
According to Sean, Newcastle have agreed terms with German international Gosens, left wing back workhorse with a great cross in him. This would be huge. If that's true, great. I think there's a lot more business to be done by Newcastle. And like I say, let's have a look and see what happens over the course of the next 2 weeks in the transfer window. I still think that could be the difference between us staying up and going down. Kirk says we've definitely improved under Eddie. By the way, we should not be going for any cast-offs from the other 6 clubs. I'm still having nightmares about Nicky Butt and Obertan. These clubs should feed us their best. Yes, Rafa would be doing wonders. Just ask Everton, says I know. I like Rafa, but I wouldn't take him now. Get a grip, Holly. You normally don't talk rubbish. No Rafa back, says Alan. Get a grip, man.
Everyone said that to us for years. I was getting it in St James yesterday, but I'm not going to listen.
I'd leave 90% of the squad in Saudi, says Jason. That's not very kind of you, mate. Great hour, Stephen, Holly, and all. Away the lads. We will be embarrassing going to Saudi, bottom of the table. The Saudis don't like failure, says Paul. Gosens looks amazing, but has been injured since September, so it's a bit of a punt, says Life Goals. Oh, no, not another desperate signing, Holly, is it?
I hope not.
Okay, next week then, Newcastle at Leeds. We've got our tickets. We're going in the car. We'll be down at for your first visit. Is it to Leeds?
Yeah.
For your first visit to Leeds, how do you see the game going, Holly? Come on.
3-0 to Leeds.
Oh, for God's sake!
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
What CDs has your dad got for the car?
I love how you divert away from the football because you can't be bothered with the negativity, so we're going to talk about CDs. He's got a Jam one, which isn't that bad. He's just ordered that. And then he's got some weird, like, rave CD, which is like a proper nightclub. I don't know what the crack is. It was on for a bit when you were in the car last night.
What was the music? Was there not a musical one that he had planned?
Oh, yeah, he had dancing. What was it? Oh, no, what's it called?
Dirty Dancing?
Yeah, Dirty Dancing. And I think he had Grease as well.
Oh, for God. Oh, Grease. Yeah, I like Grease. Happy days. Grease is the word. Top show, says Jason. Wood hat-trick next week, says Daz. Tom reckons a 2-1 win. I live in Leeds. Holly, you will love it, says Oliver. Oliver, if you're down there, give us a shout, mate. We might be able to meet up. Would J7 have done better than Woods up front on his own yesterday? Good question. We'll finish with that one.
I think he was important in more of a midfield role, and I think he did very well there. So without him in that role, I think the midfield would have struggled even more. But no, I would rather have had Wood up top.
That's it. Still using CDs in the car. Away man, it's 2022. Yes, we are. We are. Yeah, we're stuck. We're stuck in a time warp in that car, but it's a good time warp. It's a good laugh. All right, everybody, enjoy your Sunday afternoon. There's some good football to watch. Obviously, Arsenal Spurs is off, but a couple of other games on as well. So enjoy that, or enjoy whatever you're doing. Enjoy your Sunday dinner. I will be having my day off tomorrow, but of course, the 5-minute rant will be back with Pete and hopefully Chris. I think he's back on the go now, so hopefully those two will be on doing the 5-minute rant. But don't forget, 6 o'clock tonight. If you're interested in your boxing, I have got this 3D Fight Club, Last Man Standing, www.3dfightclub.co.uk. Some YouTubers and some fairly notorious YouTubers are getting in the ring to fight each other on March the 19th. And I've got them on the channel tonight. And I think there'll be a few fireworks from 6 till 7. Well worth tuning in for. Could be a bit of shouting and bawling. I'll do my best to referee, but look forward to that. Holly, great to have you on. See you on Saturday for the Leeds game and see you next Sunday for the post-mortem. Take care. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's